All right, so we have our office built, and now what we want to do, if we come back to the original, is we want to build overhead characters and we want to build our office equipment. So let's go ahead and focus on building the people first, and then we'll look at the office equipment later. So what I want to do, and I'll show you how I have this built, I pre-build these characters. I change the clothes color. As you can see, I can pre-build heads, and then I can easily mix and match the heads with the different clothes color, and that'll give me a lot of variety in terms of what I can do. And I can also build different skin tones, so I can represent different ethnicities as well. And then when you're done, you can kind of have a little army like I have here of these different characters. And then what I typically do is I'll build them out. So these are all built in PowerPoint. Here's different shapes. But if I right click, I can then save as picture and then bring them back in, and then I'll have to worry about these as PowerPoint shapes anymore. So you can see I've got these characters, and you'll get those when I do the blog post. So let's go ahead and see how the character is built, and you'll see it's pretty simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my head, and the head is just a call out. So it's just this call out shape. And all I'm going to do is make it a little larger, kind of round. And then I'm using the call out as the nose. So normally the nose would be probably something like this. If I was doing training for politicians, I might have the nose a little longer, since they don't always tend to understand the facts the same way we do. So anyway, we've got our head. Now what we're going to do is create the body, which is just going to be an oval. So we can take an oval, and you can change the shape of that a little later. And then we'll do a rounded rectangle. The rounded rectangle is going to be the arm. So we're going to go ahead. We've got our rounded rectangle arm here. We can kind of position it. And again, these things can all be played around with. And then we'll duplicate the rounded rectangle. I'm just going to make it a little smaller, and we can square it up since we don't need it quite as big. And that'll be our hand. Now I kind of like to make the hand a little rotated, so it's not, everything's not straight. So there's our basic arm shape, and then we can just take this and we can duplicate it, move it over here, and then you can do the same thing, kind of rotate it out a little, maybe square it up, take the hand, square it up a little. What we want to do is send the body to the front, so it's overlapping everything. We want to send the hands to the back, and so that's done. And then we go ahead and do the head on top. Oops. Let's go ahead and undo that. We need to move the head to the front too. Then we can take the head and apply it to the top. So there's our basic body. Now to create the hair, all you really have to do to create the hair is you just grab the freeform tool and you can play around with hairstyles. So for example, if I wanted to do this hair with a part, I just kind of draw it like this. I can kind of do something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then let's just go ahead and fill this with brown so we can see what it looks like. And then I would do the same thing on the other side. So I would just go ahead and grab the freeform tool, and then I can draw something like that. And then let's go ahead and use the format painter, and we're going to apply it to this shape. Oops, didn't want to apply it to the head here, but where's my other drawn shape? You can't see it, but we'll go ahead and fill that. So there's our head, and then with the hair. Now you can play around with the hair and actually make it look nicer. We're going to go ahead and delete that. What we want to do now is add some depth. So I like to use the gradient fills because that'll add some nice depth to the character. So on the head, we just go ahead and open up your fill, your thing to create a fill here. And I was working on that already, so we'll do a gradient fill. I usually just use 2 stops. So the first stop I might use this darker color, and then the second stop I might use the slightly lighter color. And there's my head shape. Line color, I probably get rid of the line. If you wanted to add a slight shadow, you could do that. That might create some depth on there. And then if you want to apply that gradient fill, let's move this off. I just go ahead and click on this, format painter, and then I can apply it to the hands. And then I would do the same thing with the clothes as well. So I'd fill it with a gradient fill and add a little bit of depth on there, and then I'd be done.